Welcome to another edition of the Daily Night. I am your host, Brian Smith, and today's show is one of my favorite of the year. It is the pre-National Signing Day show. I'm going to start it today, do a little bit more tomorrow. Got a mailbag question, which I'll talk about in just a minute, up at the little moniker you see at the bottom for those of you listening to this on YouTube. It is at UCF_Fan Nation. UCF is capitalized, the F in Fan Nation is capitalized, and the N in Nation is capitalized. If you go to that on Twitter, my inbox is open. If you've got a question, fire away. And if you want to leave a question on YouTube, fire away as well. Here is the overtone of what this is about today. This is not going to necessarily be a long list. I've just got a little sticky note with some things that we need to talk about. UCF is not going to sign a ton of kids. All of a sudden on National Signing Day, they may announce some things in regards to the kids that they brought in that are in class now as far as transfers. But to my knowledge, there aren't any high school kids they're going to add, but this is a new era. To say that I am all knowing on this would be absolutely unequivocally a joke. I have no idea. With that being stated, here is the following thing that you do need to know. Expect the unexpected. Because I just said they probably won't get one. Watch, they'll sign somebody that I didn't think about. I know there's the young man from Trinity Christian, the corner that went out to Air Force. I communicated with him a little bit. I'll check with him again tomorrow, if not later tonight, and see what he says. But other than that, to be really honest, the high school ranks, I'm not aware of anything. I don't expect Leighton Nelson to sign, but nobody knows for sure. I just got a message from a buddy of mine, etc., about that. And I'm like, I don't know. The last I heard was SMU and Vanderbilt. We'll see. I don't know what happened there. The communication line with the media is zero. So it's when he announces or signs his letter of intent, everyone will know. That's it. So with that being said, new signees, not likely. Leighton Nelson, to my knowledge, again, no clue. Gus has told us in the media, the local media, if possible, depending on what's going on, he would do something at some point about the transfers. Now, that was before Miss Christie went into the hospital, and I know that even, and I'll talk about this in a moment, more specifics, Gus wasn't even around the whole time, if at all, this past weekend for the Hometown Hero event because of his wife being ill. So I don't know when or if he's going to even be at the signing day on Wednesday. I'm guessing I'm going to get some kind of notification in my inbox regarding this, whether he is or isn't and what time. I already haven't checked my email today, but I would imagine that Gus Malzahn, if he doesn't do it, one of the other coaches might, maybe a couple of them. Bottom line, UCF will have somebody at the podium at some point this week. It's just the natural thing to do. It's every media member knows it. Doesn't matter the school. There are 130 of them. They all have some kind of National Signing Day press conference, both of them, the one in December and the one in February. And now, again, we can just talk about the kids that you signed in the transfer portal. And to that end, I'm going to bring some of them up here in a second. Then I will talk about the Hometown Hero event, a little bit of what I saw this weekend at the Pylon event, some of the kids that talked about it, and just a few notes. It's not overwhelming, and it's not supposed to be. This, again, is just a preliminary kind of deal. So UCF signing day class on the 15th pretty much did what they needed. And that's good news because it's less stress for the coaches. You get everything done, et cetera, et cetera. The problem is, did you get what you wanted across the board? Maybe, maybe not. They apparently didn't because they got a couple of transfers. But when you look at the class, and I just got it on my other screen here pulled up, like Martinez, the Henderson brothers, you needed secondary help with speed and like they go out and they get it. They get the defensive players they needed on the edges. They're good football players. Now, do you want to supplement that with more experienced guys from the portal? Of course. That's why they went out and got Lee Hunter. Lee Hunter is a tremendous football player, and he is one that, quite frankly, I don't think you're really going to be able to rubber stamp out of high school very much. There's a couple of kids like him a year, and for him to come over from Auburn, he's a 300 to 320-pound kid that can play one technique or a little bit of a shade or even zero technique in a straight up traditional 3-4 defense. He's a nasty player up front. That is somebody I want to hear about. What do you think? What kind of shape is he in? Where is he at in terms of being ready to play this next? They'll try to deflect everything because that's what coaches do. But it is paramount. We know what's going on there because he completely changes your defense if he is ready to go game one in 2022. Because if you have an quote unquote automatic double team guy at the one technique or playing nose, whatever, they move their scheme around a little bit, it changes what every other player on the field does for UCF. All 10 of them. That's why these rankings that I talk about all the time being the same for each kid, a right guard, if his value is 4-star and you sign a quarterback whose value is 4-star, they are still not the same. And all these different companies do a horrific job of explaining that, and they just plug it all in one system. They are not the same. At least a third of your class is quarterback. And for a kid like Hunter, while he's not a third of your class, he has to be 10 to 20% of it. He has to be because he changes what you do defensively. Again, assuming he's ready to roll. I don't know what his health, I don't know if he's in shape, etc. I have no idea. That's why we ask at the press conference. So I'm really excited about him. And then just looking at a couple of the other transfers. I mean, we have Quan Lee, who, by the way, has got 3 NIL deals already rolling. I wrote about that this morning on Inside the Knights on Fan Nation, powered by Sports Illustrated. You got Gamble from Florida. You got Lee Hunter, the kid I just mentioned from Auburn, the big nose guard. He's about 320 pounds. Length, speed, size, all that for his position is there. He's a true power player. The other kid from Auburn is not getting as much attention as I thought he would. Kobe Hudson, he's a really good player. He's got 3 more years of eligibility, technically, because nobody counted for 2020. He was a really good player this past year for Auburn, and I expect him to be pretty darn near a good bet to start, if not the guy to start at the boundary spot this next fall. He'll certainly be in the position to do so. The unique kid is Swoboda. He's probably about as big a player as there is in college football, listed at 6'10", even if he's 6'8", 6'9", whatever. He's humongous, 325 pounds. I'm really curious to see if they want to play him at right or left. Does it matter? I mean, he's definitely going to play tackle. He's too tall to play interior, but that's an interesting kid. John Reese Plumlee, he came over from Ole Miss. He played receiver last year. How do they want to use him? I'm definitely going to ask about that. The guy that gets like no pub, nobody's really talking about, is Katie McDaniel. He's another kid from South Georgia, went up to Kentucky, didn't work out there for him. He comes over to UCF, 6'2", 245, edge rusher, put his hand in the dirt. He can play straight up in a 3-4 on the ground or standing up. That's really rare. Very, very stout kid. That's another kid I want to hear about. Of course, everybody wants to hear about Terrence Lewis. I mean, I could do an entire podcast on his abilities. He's really, really unique. I thought he was the physically most gifted kid in the class of 21. He just has to get everything in order off the field, and he's an NFL player. But physically, you can't teach what that young man has. Then there's Tylan Grable. He is the definition of what the big schools want in terms of stealing from the little schools. This is the one problem with the transfer portal that is going to be a nightmare. Forever, there has been a lot of cheating in college football. I mean, it's astronomical. Hundreds of $1,000s just for a kid to sign all the time. Everybody gets surprised when I say that. The people that are behind the scenes doing some of this have more money than they can spend. They just want to see their alma mater win. But a kid like this, he was a kid listed by some of the services as a D-end, coming out of high school, etc. Not as much was known. Another kid from Georgia, by the way. They always have linemen. And he goes off and he goes to Jacksonville State, Northern Alabama, middle of nowhere, Northern Alabama. All of a sudden, he puts on 50, 60 pounds, and he's a guy. And he's playing offensive tackle instead of defensive end. Now everybody's interested. UCF was very fortunate to get Grable. It's hard to find guys with that much length and that much natural size and movement ability all combined. Will he play right tackle or left? It's the same thing with the other kid. So, but I have no idea. But again, that's what the press conference is for. And I want to really kind of hone in on whether or not he could also play guard. I don't know if he's flexible enough, but he looked like it on the little bit of film that I saw. The one play he put up on his Twitter, the end of a play, he's running, and all of a sudden the guy's down on his feet and he had to like hurdle him. It was pretty interesting for a kid to show that type of athleticism. So just to kind of wrap up a little bit here, UCF probably not going to sign any more high school kids. in my opinion. But what do I know? 2, no idea what's going on with Leighton Nelson. You're more than welcome to send in a question to the mailbag. Feel free. But as of right now, Monday afternoon, when I'm loading up this podcast, not a clue. I've just heard things, and at this point, that's irrelevant. It's 2 more days till he can sign. My opinion, just let him sign, and we'll talk about it thereafter. And I will do Thursday and Friday. I'll answer some more questions, and I'm sure I'll get some inboxes, and that's fine. But he's not talking to media, and I get it. I wouldn't either. It's 2 days away. Who cares? Let him make his decision. Let him go where he wants. He's earned it. Great kid, and I'll respect him no matter where he decides to go because he was always nice to me. So I respect Leighton. His dad's a great guy too, and so is his brother. Last piece, the thing that's really most important here are the transfers. And I do have the hometown hero event. I need to touch on that quickly, but the transfers are going to be the main thing at the signing day. That's how much college football recruiting has changed. Is that good? Depends on your perspective. UCF is certainly taking advantage of it. That I know. Fact. The talent that they brought in, offense and defense now, is really good. Hometown hero event, real quick. I had multiple people, including Darren Goldie Lawrence from Seminole High School. He plays with Certified Dogs. I talked to him for a minute. He is not going to commit anytime soon unless he changes something. He told me Gus wasn't at the hometown hero event, and a couple other kids did too that I know at the Pylon. They were at the Pylon 7-on-7 event in Kissimmee at Austin Tyndall Sports Complex. And I didn't really know all the details, but I knew Miss Christie had been ill, but apparently that's where Gus was. So just want to reiterate that once again. But as far as how the event went, I've seen the list of kids and stuff like that have been floating around different places. The list is a lot more expansive than what's published. I can tell you that. And even what they expected, because literally buses of players from 7-on-7 teams went over there. Now, how many of them end up being prospects is one's own discretion. And here's what I mean by that. Just because I get along really well with Brandon Ennis and he can pretty much pick his school. Would I be shocked if he picked a UCF? I would fall out of this chair. He can call Nick Saban anytime he wants and commit. Those kids don't generally go to UCF. But he really wanted to go. 2 things about that. Brandon is, by the way, he's an elite receiver, plays in American Heritage. Everybody's known since he was in 7th, 8th grade he was going to be a guy. Just flat out. He's one of those unique players. And to this day, he's as competitive as it gets. You can see some of the videos about them on this YouTube channel and etc. But the most important thing to note is he wanted to. And when the Pied Piper wants to go to a school, and you insert the name of the institution, the teammates at the high school level or the 7-on-7, depending on timing of the year, oftentimes follow. And his roster is loaded. Devontae Brown, the corner for UCF, his younger brother plays, ironically, with SFE, South Florida Express, with Brandon, and it's Damari, and he came over. I expect him to end up at a Power 5 program that's tradition rich, but UCF's not out of it with him. He's another kid who plays with Brandon at American Heritage down in the Fort Lauderdale Plantation area. But this is how you get your foot in the door. And remember, the transfer portal is open 24/7, 365. Some of the kids that visited this weekend might sign with Georgia or Michigan or Texas Tech, whatever the heck it may be. That does not mean they won't end up at UCF in 18 months. That's the world we live. The kids that go to one school and are 3 and out, which sadly a lot of these kids think they're going to do, and I know they're not even Power 5 kids, some of these kids that I speak with, it's very short. Brandon is one of them. Okay, great. There are maybe 10 kids like that at this tournament that have a chance to be 3 and out kids because they have it on the field, attitude, academics, and social fit for what the NFL wants. That last one is a big problem in Florida, by the way. Huge problem. And we need some etiquette classes on how to act because there were more fights this weekend than I can shake a stick at Pylon. It was ridiculous. The point is still the same. Talent was there. Buses going over to UCF. South Florida Express, Immortals. I know some of the kids from Certified Dogs. That's the Orlando kids. That's probably about the most important program in a lot of ways from the 7-on-7 circuit I would say, for the entirety of the football program at UCF, because they get kids from Apopka, the north side. The north side of Orlando is loaded. All the suburban schools, Lake Mary, Seminole, schools like that can definitely be there. Ocoee, West Orange, all of those schools right on the edge of Orlando that have always seemingly had players. Part of them are going to be there. Central Florida All-Stars is another one. Lowood, who's one of the trainers, he's definitely going to have kids around UCF. He's the Harris twins, who I've had on my other podcast, the FGA Report. Great kids. I actually got an interception on one of them that it was up on, I think it was on my Twitter this morning. If not, it was yesterday. But they were probably there too. I didn't even think to ask them when I saw them. But bottom line, same deal. If they're going to be able to go to an event, it's that one. And here in Ennis, hearing guys like Carnell Tate, who's as good a receiver as there is in the country, plays at IMG. He's originally from Chicago. Those guys going over there, and I watched them literally leave the field and get on the bus to go there, is huge, because all these kids talk to each other. Does UCF suddenly get all these guys? No. But you can't get in a horse race without a horse. They have to come. They have to see your facilities. They have to meet your AD or your head coach or your recruiting coordinator. It is huge. And I was told that they were all going to do this because I communicate with a lot of these 7-on-7 guys, coaches, players, parents, etc. But until they do it, it doesn't mean anything. A lot of 7-on-7 coaches say they're going to do something, then they don't. But that's where these people are going. And good. UCF needs that opportunity to get to build more relationships. And for that, I'm very happy, because like I wrote an article earlier today on Inside the Knights about Robbie Washington. He's a receiver at Killian High School in Miami. He is shot out of a cannon. Jalen Brown plays on the same field with him, who I think is as fast a player as there is in the country in pads. He just has that gear. If you put those kind of guys on the same 7-on-7 field, it's not much fun to defend them. And they still have other guys like Adam Moore, etc. There's all kinds of talent. The question is still the same. Can you get them there again and again and again? The more times, the better. This was the first step. Now I want to see, because UCF will have their camps in June, can they get some other guys to come? There's other Pied Pipers that I know want to go. I know Colin Hurley, who's the best young quarterback I've ever seen, is going to come to camp this summer. And I'm actually going to go and do some film with him on Thursday with some kids up in Jacksonville. But again, this is a building block. Now that some of these kids have been there, they hear Hurley's going, some of these receivers and DBs, which camp is he going to? I guarantee you, whichever one it is, that's where the receivers will come. Maybe Tyler Williams from Lakeland comes over. Maybe some of the kids from Miami, like Robbie and Jalen, will come. I don't know. That's the Pied Piper event right there. Those camps. They start hearing about it. Maybe Ennis comes again. Who knows? I'm just very excited that UCF was able to get them. I was skeptical. I'll admit it. It's one thing to put guys on a list on a piece of paper. It's another to watch them come into your football facility. So with that one last statement, UCF has the ability now, in my opinion, to raise their program in another level that I didn't think was going to happen for a couple of years. The last, let's say, 4 days have kind of changed that. Thursday to now. I heard about it, then I saw it, and it was confirmed. So UCF football is getting better because of the recruiting efforts of everybody in the program and around the school too, student body, etc. And that's really a good thing. So for anybody out there, again, last point, hit the like, make sure you subscribe, notification and all that. And where you see, if you're on YouTube and you can see it at UCF_Fan Nation, that is the place you can, there's at the top, it's pinned. If you've got a question, I'm going to do a mailbag probably Wednesday night if I get enough. And I'll definitely have a podcast about, just UCF and everybody else on Thursday, Friday too. Florida's class, Florida State, kind of like who's getting who out of this. And we'll kind of go over the whole thing. So everybody have a great day. Thank you very much. And I'll talk to you soon.